Hello guys, welcome to our podcast. In today's video, we are going to cover a very important topic, which is a question which is mostly asked by our clients that what technology they should be using for their MVP. Like they have multiple options, but in today's video, we are just going to cover the two most important technologies which are available in market to build an MVP for a startup. One of them is Flutterflow, and second is Bubble. So these two platforms are like widely used for building an MVP quickly, a minimum viable product quickly and within budget. So these two softwares are mostly used for these for development. So in today's video, Mohsin is joining. He is the CTO of Insert MVP. He have himself led a lot of projects which were built in Bubble and Flutterflow. So he has experience in both of the technologies. So in today's video, we will be, covering different factors which are involved in choosing a platform, like pricing and capability of the platform. So I have just created a mind map, which I will share, and we will be going through these points one by one. So let's start with this. Let me know, Mohsin, when you can share, see my screen.
Uh, yeah, I will let you know.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we can go for the like you can different factors. Let me just
Yeah. So basically, I think we have defined different criterias. Currently, I can see, I think around nine criterias which we picked up at this time, which will be almost covering all of the points, including like pricing model and code export option, um, and like what is their community and how many members are part of that community, is security, and then we can say monolithic platform. So we will be defining and explaining all of these points one by one. So I think we can start from the first point, and we can. So basically, the first point here is monolithic platform. So I would like to know if Essen, you can explain what actually monolithic platform is, and then we can go into further detail.
so basically monolithic platform is one platform which has which where you can develop everything within that platform. Like database is there, workflows are there, and the front end development. Everything is done within one platform. So we call that platform as a monolithic platform. So if we compare Bubble and Flutterflow, Bubble is completely a monolithic platform. It means that they provide you a database. You can build your database within that. They provide you the place to build a front end of application, like how the application is going to look on mobile or web. You can build that within Bubble platform. You don't have to leave Bubble platform for building the front end of application. And similarly, workflows. So you don't have to leave this. So this thing has its own benefits and disadvantages too, advantages and disadvantages too. So we will be trying to cover them one by one. So if we look at the Bubble, you can see that into Bubble that it is a monolithic platform. The first benefit that you get is the speed of development. The developer who is working on this, he is just going to be focused on one tool. He just need to know one tool, and he just need to not to leave this tool for building the database or stuff like that. So that's why I believe that development speed increases if this is a monolithic platform. That is the first benefit that you get. Uh, Flutterflow in itself is not a monolithic platform. You can choose any other database with Flutterflow. So front end is built into Flutterflow, and backend can be something else like it will be Firebase, it will be Supabase or Xenu. You can choose any one of the platforms. So it's in its structure. Flutterflow is not a monolithic platform, but Bubble is. And the benefit of having that is, you can quickly do the development because it's the one platform. And there can be one single developer who can cover everything into Bubble. That's the benefit. And there is a lesser learning curve of Bubble because you know that you just have to use its database, you have to use its workflows. So the person who is going to work on a bubble application, they can do this quickly, they can achieve more in little time if they are using bubble. There are some disadvantages of using a monolithic platform like bubble 2. Reason is that if you have an external database and you want to build your whole application on top of that external database, then there will be some problems regarding like on authentication related problems or other type of problems that you can face.
Real-time data, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, that you can face during if you will build your application into bubble. But if you want to do an API integration with an external software, that can be done. But if you want to just use not to use bubble database and just use MySQL database and build APIs and use it on top of that, then it's going to be a problem. So in terms of bubble, there are advantages and disadvantages, and at the end of the video we will cover what we should be using in which situation. So my recommendation with bubble is that I don't recommend that you guys should be using bubble if you have an external database and you have to build something on top of that. It is not recommended. But if you want your application to be your database and workflows and front end everything built into bubble, and you don't have any issue with that, then bubble is a better option. But in case of Flutterflow, you have flexibility. You can use any database. You can use Supabase, Xano. So that gives you flexibility too. In case of Bubble, you are a little locked. You cannot, if you use Bubble database, you cannot leave the platform. But if you face any, in case of Flutterflow, that's not a limitation. So this is like this monolithic approach of development has its own plus and negative points. And if you go to the Bubble website, they also say that it's the only full stack development no code platform. So that's a great thing, but in some cases it is not that much effective. So the next option, next criteria based on which we can say like what platform should be chosen is the code export. So we will look into this too.
Yeah. So I would like to add one more point into the monolithic platform. So as we said, like Flutterflow, we can integrate Flutterflow with some separate database. So the point of the monolithic platform is that we do not know exactly what database like Bubble is using at its backend. Although like in their documentation, it has been written down like they are using Postgres SQL, but we do not have much control on database. So this is an issue like we cannot control if we want to take backups directly onto the database. So these type of issues are there. But if in case of like Flutterflow, there is a third party like database, its name is Firebase or Firestore, which is being used, or that can be Supabase. And the advantage of using those databases as a separate is that we have a complete control over that database. So we can see their pricing. Like Flutterflow is not controlling their pricing. In case of Bubble is someone which will be controlling their pricing, and they can change that one according to their like if they want. But in case of Flutterflow, as we are using Firebase, so it will not be you can say change. They don't have control over the database. They are just have built like a built-in integration with the Firebase, which is helpful, which allows you to read write data into the real-time scenario and all of that one. But it will not be like affecting like how you are controlling your database and all of that one. And you cannot like you do not have control where you want to host your database and where you want to store at which location in case of Bubble and all of that one, and when you want
Okay,
to
so
take the
it means that we can change our database in future too if we want to. If we are
yeah.
using Flutterflow, we can change it. If we see any limitations in one thing, we can change it. We have control over these things.
Yeah,
So let's
exactly.
move towards the next very important factor, because most of the times people are concerned that if Bubble increases their pricing, what will happen? Like if the platform, if I have built every application, complete application into one thing, and I'm not satisfied with your service, will I be getting the ownership of the code or not? So we will have to compare Bubble and Flutterflow in this term. So Mohsin, you can explain what do you think about these two things?
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. So let's start with the bubble. Currently, bubble does not allow you to export your code, although it allows you to export your data in form of, it can be either CSV or some other like JSON format, but it does not allow you to export the code. And although they have committed like you are the complete owner of your application, and their CEOs have also committed like if they ever like thought about closing that platform, then they will make it like open for public and users can will be able to export that code. But currently at this time there is no option to export the code from the bubble. Although you have the complete ownership of the application, you can map your own domain and all of that one. But in case of Bubble, they do not allow you to export code. And if you can export code, then you will have the ability to host at its your own location on your own desired servers. Maybe it can be AWS or something like that. But
But
Bubble
that is
does not
not
allow you
doable
to.
into Bubble. In case of Bubble,
Yeah,
you
but
cannot do
that,
it.
yeah, exactly. That is not doable into the bubble.
Yeah,
But
maybe
in case of
that we should.
Flutterflow,
Mhm.
yeah, in case of Flutterflow, I think this is an edge of the Flutterflow. That is mostly client uh, which want to have like they think like if we are building an application and we want to export that code in future, or sometimes they have some doubts like if the bubble shuts down or how the pricing is being controlled by the bubble. What happen if bubble get some funding and then it increase the pricing? So they have these type of doubts, and that's why they say, okay, if the bubble does not allow you to export code, can you suggest us some other code no code platform which allows you to build apps at like at a faster pace, but still it allows you to export the code. It allows you to connect your own GitHub, so you can push your code into the GitHub and you can use that one into the future. So one advantage of like exporting the code is that you have the ownership of that code and you can like host it on your own desired location. But another advantage is that if you export the code, you will have the ability to modify it. You can add your own functions, you can enhance that one. Like in case of Bubble, if you want to add some JavaScript or some custom function which is not provided by the Bubble, then you have to build a plugin, and then you like that can be in Node.js. Using Node.js, you have to build a plugin, and then using the Bubble plugin builder, you have to integrate with the Bubble platform, and then you can use that one. But in case of Flutterflow, let's suppose if you have built some application and you hit some limit, you are not able to do that thing into the Flutterflow platform. You will just simply export that code, and you can like connect your GitHub and you can push code there, and you can start making changes there, and then you can download your Android and iOS like code from there, and you can set up it onto your Android Studio and onto the MacBook as well. So
Okay,
I
great.
believe this is a huge advantage that uh, I will suggest. Like the Flutterflow is a winner in
So
that
it
case.
means that just to make it short, basically, if this is like, if you want more control over code, if you want that once the application is built, you have the ownership of the code and you can, take it anywhere. You can purchase your own servers and host it there. Then your suggestion is that it should be the Flutterflow which should be chosen for this, and that's a great advantage which Flutterflow has over this.
Yeah,
So
but one thing that I would like to add here, like if you one time like you have exported your code from Flutterflow to some external, on the Visual Studio Code or something like that, so it will not be possible. Just it will not be possible to make changes into the into the Android Studio or into the dot code directly and then import back into the Flutterflow. So that will not be possible. You can just export your code and then you can start making changes there.
no, no, no. I think you mentioned it clear, but let me repeat it again. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
you can export code, you can do
Yeah.
changes there. But if you
Yeah,
want to bring that application back into Flutterflow, you cannot do that because
exactly, exactly.
at that time, once you have exported the code, you have done some changes there. When you will try to bring it back into Flutterflow editor to do further changes, you will not be able to do that. So when you are taking the decision to shift it to the coding technology, then you cannot come back. That's the limitation, and that makes sense too because a Flutterflow creates code in its own way, and it cannot understand the code of the person of the developer who worked on this. So that totally makes sense. The second very important factor we are going to cover in this video is the pricing model because that has a huge impact on our decision to choose the platform for development. So in case of Bubble and Flutterflow, Bubble has a fixed pricing model. Like there are different packages available. You can see them here. There is a free plan, there is a starter plan, growth, team. So these are the plans available into Bubble in which you can build an application. Free plan has some limitations. You can attach a custom domain with that. But in the starter plan, that is $29 per month plan. So you can do like that's a personal plan. You cannot add team members into this. So they're like different as you grow. Yeah, as your application grows, you will have to upgrade it to the higher plan because there is a concept of workflow units, workload units into Bubble. So that is a very important concept that depends on different factors. So I will try to explain them, explain the workload units concept. So a workload unit is something like if you perform any operation on database, like do some insertion or updation, something like that, that is a database operation. So if you do that, then a workload units is counted due to that. Similarly, if there is an application in which there are a lot of workflows, so once those workflows are executed, then automatically workload units are counted against those actions. Similarly, web interactions, if there are like more people interacting with the application, then workload units will be counted. So Bubble have a concept of workload units, and as you increase your pricing plan from starter to growth to team, then automatically the number of workload units also increases. So in Bubble, that's like the pricing is controlled by Bubble a lot. But in case of Flutterflow, you need to have a developer account, and in that developer account, you have like you can build an application there. But the you have to integrate with Firebase as a database because in case of Bubble, database is within Bubble, so everything is managed by that. But in case of Flutterflow, you just need a developer account on Flutterflow, and you will need to purchase a Firebase database account. So on Firebase, there are different like pricing models, which I will explain you. Like this is mentioned on their website. So we will try to cover them. For example, if there are like 5,000 active users and there are like 100K users on the platform, but active are 5,000 users, then the cost on Flutterflow is going to be $12.14. This is what they have mentioned on their website, and this is what we have observed into our application too. And if there are like 100K active users on application, then the cost is going to be 292.02 USD, which is mentioned on their website. Similarly, if there are like 1 million active users, the pricing is going to be almost $3,000 in case of Flutterflow. But in case of Bubble pricing, there are packages available. You can upgrade to the higher plan. But if there is a limit per month limitation for workload units, and if you hit that limit, then before it was happening that your application should will start throttling. But now it is changed. Now you can purchase more workload units from Bubble for making sure that application does not get down. So I think that
Yeah.
what my understanding is that Flutterflow is relatively cheaper as compared to Bubble. If you have any real-time example of application that you build, you can share with us.
Yeah, so I would like to add here one thing. Like on the Bubble website, there is a calculator also available where you can put your workload units, like how many workload units you are required, like 100,000 or 1 million workload units, and they will calculate the best pricing for you. So if you move down to their pricing model, just move down to the picture that is showing here. Yeah, can you zoom in a little bit? Yeah, so here the free plan, it is basically used to just getting started onto the bubble. It will not allow you to map the domain, so it is just for the testing purpose. Then starter plan, its cost is $29 per month, but there are specific number of workload units which are available in that package. So all of that one are mentioned onto their website. You can check out them. But to give an example, we have built applications which are used by thousands of users and which have like 100,000 downloads. Like we wrapped that application which was built into the bubble using some wrapper like the BDK native and push it onto the Play Store and App Store. And those applications have around 100,000 downloads and around 10 to 15,000 active users. And their cost is around like 300 USD per month. So like if you had 10,000 to 15,000 active users, so I think like this price is justifiable. And but in case of Flutterflow, this price is a little bit lower. But in case of Bubble, the price is little bit higher. But again, the point is that they allow you to manage all of items at one place. So I think that's good too. Yeah.
Yeah, but one thing that needs to be, that should be considered is that the developer who is going to build your bubble application, he should be having the knowledge about the workload units, and they should be aware that how to optimize the application. Because if they don't do that, the cost of the application is going to be very high in case of bubble. So
Yeah, even if a
same
recursive.
goes for Flutterflow too. But in case of bubble, it's like we have seen, like if you have not optimized your workflows, your cost of your application is going to be very high as it starts using. Like the scheduled workflows, Mohsen, you can tell a little bit about scheduled workflows. Like that can be a one thing
Yes.
which can increase the cost of the development a lot. Well, okay, so the next thing that we are going to, next very important factor that has an impact on choosing the platform is the community of that technology, because you have to find developers for that. There should be people available to help you in developing your application. There should be enough support content available and enough plugins and widgets and templates already available, so that when your developer is building an application, or when you are yourself building an application, you are aware that you can get assistance from the community which is already building that. So Mohsin, what do you think about the bubbles community, like how it's built? Like bubble was launched in 2012, and it has a lot of agencies from where you can hire. Our Incept MVP agency is also a silver level agency on bubble. So you can let people know a little bit about the community, like how many plugins are available, everything.
Yeah. So as you said, like Bubble was launched in 2012. So it has been like around 12 years while this platform was launched, and it has currently 3.5 million users or more than that one. And Flutterflow was launched like 2021, like 3 years ago from now. But it has also seen a tremendous growth in the recent past years because of high demand into the no code tools and the like as we explained the features above, like allow you to export the code and allow you to build applications at a faster pace. So for all of that one, Flutterflow has also gained a lot of interaction in the recent in the last year. Like at the start of the year, there was around I think 100,000 or 200,000 users, but at the end of the year, they crossed 1 million milestone as well. So there is a growth into the Flutterflow, but still the users and the community and the number of plugins and the like templates, widgets, Bubble has more because it is in market since 12 years. So definitely Bubble has more community, more support, more plugins. And if you want to do any custom work, you always have some plugin built by any most any user. But in case of Flutterflow, you often have to do some custom work, and it increases its development time too. Like for some small, like for some type of work that you thinking like some video conference even. There is no pre-built or built-in template currently at this stage, and you have to do custom coding or use some third party like Agora or a Zoom and configure that one. So it means like Flutterflow community is also building templates and all of that one, but it needs more time to build that material.
Okay, so what you are
Yeah.
saying is that if you are going to build an application into Flutterflow, there will be a lot of times when you will have to write custom code because community have not done that much work already so that you can take it from there and use it into your application. But in case of Bubble, I have observed that in last 3 years, we are not able to find out a lot of things for which we have to write code because a lot of things are already available. You can just install a plugin and use that into application. But in case of Flutterflow, when we are building applications, we have observed that we have to write code at some point. And if the team is because Flutterflow is built on top of Flutter, so you
Exactly.
can, if you are fluent in writing Flutter code, then there is not going to be any problem because there are a lot of libraries available that you can utilize into the application, and you can build an application which can have millions of users. And on the Flutter flow, we can see like there is a growth curve. People are adopting this a lot, and Bubble already has a huge community, and there were a lot of startups on Bubble which were successful in getting funding. Like you can see that the stats from here. We have taken this image from a Bubble website, and it shows that people who have built applications into Bubble, they have raised $15 billion till now. So that's a huge number. Similarly, there were like how many? Um, yeah, there are like 3.1 billion page views per year that Bubble has. So it means that it is used by a huge community, and they have adopted it. And we can see like if you go to our team, there are like 15 Bubble developers, and currently there are like six Flutterflow developers. So we are adopting it, and Flutterflow is growing quickly, but Bubble already has a huge community. So we will go towards
Yeah. So yeah,
yes.
so both of them, if you go to community, just click on that one again. So both have experts program. Flutterflow just revamped their expert program recently, and around 25 to 30 at this current time when you will be watching this video, maybe there will be more agencies, but at this recording time, there are around 30 agencies which are partner of Flutterflow, and in September is also an official partner of the Flutterflow as well as the silver agency partner of the Bubble. So both have, and if you want to hire an expert, you can just go there one, and you can hire some partner for you.
Yeah, we will create a separate video with which we will try to explain like from where you can get good developers and who should
Mhm.
you should be hiring for your startup and what can be the plus and negative points for that. So next, Mohsin, the next point that we have to cover is the native apps experience. Like
Yeah.
when you build an application like into Bubble, sometimes we want our clients want that this application should be available natively too, like on Android and iOS, Play Store and App Store too. So what do you think? Like I want to know from you, like what is your experience with Bubble applications wrapped into a mobile application? What is the process for that, and what are the problems that you can come into if your application is into Bubble, and what can be the speed of this such an application?
Okay, so basically, at this current time, Bubble is not a pure native platform. It is basically allows you to build web applications and you can make them responsive. Yes, some third-party wrappers are available, just like the BDK or natively or Air Native. These wrappers are available into the market that you can use and wrap your application and just publish onto the Play Store and App Store. But I think that they do not have the pure or actual native experience once you use some wrapper. So if you take an example of the application which is placed on which is available on Play Store and App Store, and if it is built within Bubble and just use a wrapper and then push there, so its quality will not be as much good as if it is built within the Flutterflow, because Flutterflow is a pure native platform which allows you to build both web and mobile applications. But its most strong area is the native one, and it has like direct integration with the Play Store and App Store using Code Magic. And like in case of Bubble, if you are using some third party like the BDK, you have to pay a fee of around 350 USD to publish your app onto the Play Store and App Store. But in case of Flutterflow, you do not have to pay that fee, because they are managing within the platform and they have that native integration. So in that thing, Bubble recently, like in 1 2 months ago, Bubble like in a conference, they said they are going to launch their own native platform within the Bubble, using which you will be able to build applications, and they will have pure native experience just like Flutterflow. But that is still in development, and at this current time it is not launched. So hopefully this will be launched and it will be a great addition within the Bubble platform. But if you want to build a native application, so and it has some web admin panel, then highly recommended tool will be the Flutterflow. But if you want to build a web application, web first application, which can be mobile responsive, then definitely the Bubble will be the best one.
Yeah, you are right, and I have the same observation that Bubble is has a huge community developing web applications in that which are mobile responsive. And when you go for a build for wrapping the Bubble application into a native app, you feel some slowness into application. So if you want to build a mobile first application, my recommendation would be to go for Flutterflow. So that is what I agree with you completely. Then the next point that we have to keep in mind, and we have to, is the keep in, we can discuss about is scalability of application. So what do you think, Mohsin, about scalability of application? If I can scale a Bubble application, if I can scale a Flutterflow application, what can be the limitations which can come in terms of Bubble, and what can be the limitations which will come in case of Flutter?
Okay, so in case of scalability, we were discussing that thing already. Like, and we have built, as I said, you 150 plus applications into the Bubble, and very scalable applications which have 100,000 downloads and 50,000 active users on those applications. So, and some same for the Flutterflows, we have built applications that have thousands of users on them. So I think like both platform are scalable. But in case of Bubble, as we discussed earlier, like there is a workload unit concept. If you are launching your application with the starter plan, it can get some 100 users, and then you will have to upgrade your application to higher plan and buy some more workload units, and it will keep on scaling. So there will be no hurdle, I believe. Bubble will be managing all of your infrastructure, all of your
Yeah,
database.
cost can be the only factor which can be a
Yeah.
problem. And if you optimize your workflows, then that issue can also be resolved, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So in that case, I believe like both Flutterflow and like the Bubble are both scalable. And in case of Flutterflow, as we just give you an example into the recent pricing model, they have shown like for an application with 10,000 active users, this will be the pricing. And we have seen that one, like we have observed that thing by implementing within our own company, within our internal tool building into the Flutterflow. So as we are getting like more users onto our application, more employees on within our company, so I think it is keep on scaling and managing all of the items like automatically, and we do not have to take care of a lot about the scalability.
Yeah, I totally agree with. But one point I want to, just let you know is that, in case of Flutterflow, if your application scales, like your application gets larger, then Flutterflow speed gets a little slower. Not the application speed. Application speed remains the
Yeah.
same, but the development speed becomes slower as compared to Bubble, because there's some slowness of the platform of the Flutterflow platform is a little problem, and I think that Flutterflow team is working on improving the speed of the platform to the development
Yeah,
platform.
I think we got this issue into the Bubble application as well. Like one of the event-based application we are building for 1 year. So we got this issue into its editor as well. Like it became very slow, and then we contacted with the Bubble team, and then they sent us a code snippet. We add that one and some parameters into the URL, so it's working fine into the Bubble. But in case of Flutterflow, yes, there is some issue at this point of time, where once your project becomes very bulky, then it becomes a little bit slow down. You have to wait for a few seconds to load each screen once you are working into the Flutterflow. And but the option is there. Current option is that you can just export your code and then you can start development into the Flutter. But I think Flutterflow team is actively working on this thing, and hopefully they will tackle that one earlier, very
Okay,
soon.
I think we have covered the scalability part, and the next thing is the offline apps. You know, you can Mohsen let us know if we can build
Yeah.
offline
So
application.
basically,
What does the offline application mean, and how we can build them? We can talk about.
yeah. So offline application means like you can like use your application without internet connection. So this is the basic concept of the offline applications, and many application like point of sale systems, these are mostly offline, because there are a lot of transactions that are happening each day. So if internet goes down, that can be a problematic for them. So that's why mostly the offline applications are being used in smaller stores or something like that. So Flutterflow recently launched a feature of the offline application, although it is not like it is still they
It's
are
in
building
beta
and they
version,
are
I
adding
believe.
more
It's
functionalities.
in
Yeah,
beta version.
but they are using SQLite DB to managing the offline capability, and they have launched that one. And we have built one to offline application as well. And I think that's good. But in case of Bubble, definitely they don't support this offline capability at this time, because this is, as I said to you initially, this is currently only a web platform. So in the web platform, it will not be possible to have the offline ability capability. But in the future, hopefully once they launch their native platform, they will be also giving this offline capability.
Okay, great. So that point is also covered. One very important factor is about the security of application. If we compare the Bubble platform and Flutterflow platform, I have seen that clients reach out to us to build healthcare applications or fintech applications. So I would like to talk about a little bit about this thing, that if we can build such applications into Bubble or not. So in case of Bubble, it's GDPR compliant. So it means that you can get a GDPR compliant application into Bubble. That's not a problem. It's also an SOC2 compliant application. You can compliant platform too. So your data is secure, and we have seen that most of the times passwords are encrypted and users data is also encrypted. So security measures are taken into a Bubble application. That's mostly what you can say, that both of these platforms are secure, but Bubble has these compliance available. And in case of Bubble, if you want to build a healthcare application and you want to store the information of the patients, and information, any sensitive information in the healthcare field that you want to store about patients, that is not recommended because it's not HIPAA compliant. It's important that your application should be HIPAA compliant for storing such information. If you are living in, I believe, into Europe and USA, you have to be your application needs to be HIPAA compliant. But Bubble does not offer that right now. That's a limitation. Similarly, PCI compliance. It's not recommended that you store card information like bank account information or card information card into your Bubble application. Yes, you can integrate Stripe, and you can store such information into Stripe, and Stripe can be connected with Bubble. But in that case, you are not storing card information, card holders information into Bubble at all. So that's not recommended because Bubble is not HIPAA or PCI compliant. But in case of Flutterflow, there is a database named Firebase which is mostly used, or you can use Xano. Xano is HIPAA compliant, PCI compliant, GDPR compliant. You can use that database and it can be built into Flutterflow. Similarly, you can go for building a HIPAA compliant application, PCI compliant application. into Flutterflow too, because Firebase is also HIPAA compliant. So for building such an application, my recommendation would be to use app security. Mohsen, any point that you would like to add into this?
Yeah, I think you have covered most of the points and you have explained well. So I believe I'm not sure, but I don't think Firebase is HIPAA compliant themselves. You can manage it, but like HIPAA compliance is not only based on just storing the data or something like that. So both platforms, we cannot say they are 100% HIPAA compliance, but you can do some
Yeah,
workaround to make them HIPAA
yeah.
compliance.
Basically,
Apart from that, like in
yeah,
yeah,
they are like, but if you're building an application into Flutterflow or into Bubble, you have to take security measures. You cannot
yeah.
make data public for everyone to access.
That
To
yeah,
access.
there are different privacy rules available
Yeah.
both in Flutterflow and into the bubble, and you have to take care. The developer which is building your application, they should have a deep knowledge of that one, how we can apply the privacy rules, which data should be available for the reading and writing, which database version should be available. Like only the dev version should be available once your application is live. So no, you should not give the access to your live version for your database, and developers should have only the access to the dev version. So definitely you will have to take some measures while you are building your application and maintaining your security.
Yeah, that's great. It's I think that it's covered well. But the next thing that we want to discuss is that AI features. AI features are like, if we can, if there is a way into Flutterflow to just provide instructions to do something or not. You can build an AI application into Bubble. You can build an AI application into Flutterflow, because AI powered application means that it has chat GPT integrated, like generative AI platforms are integrated with this or not, or that can be done or not. It is doable in both of them. You can integrate AI into both of them. But what we want to say is that, for example, if you are in a scenario where you want to build your application quickly and you want to use an AI to do that. For example, providing an instruction to build a marketplace for maybe players. So maybe you can provide some instructions into a tool and it builds some screens for you, so that you don't have to do that stuff again yourself. So I think that this capability is available into Flutterflow. Mohsin, you can let us know a little bit what how it is achievable.
Yeah, so Flutterflow has launched AI generation feature, which allows you to just write down the instruction, and it will like build all of your database structure, and it can help you in crafting beautiful UI UX designs according to your instruction. But Bubble has hired some AI resources in their team as well, which is currently working on adding these AI capabilities, where users will just writing some of the instructions, and then application will be generating database and AI for that one. But at this stage, Bubble does not have this capability. Flutterflow has its capability, but again, the point is that it is at very initial stage. If you generate some page, you have to do modification. You have to link that page with some other and to build the complete application. So it allows you to it can helpful somehow at some extent, but definitely then you need some experience in crafting the full application and linking the whole application.
Yeah, it looks like it is at the very early stage, but
Yeah,
eventually it's going to be very powerful feature,
yeah,
because you will just be able to provide instructions and things will be building automatically into Flutterflow or into Bubble, where whichever starts adding these features. And in terms of one more important factor that I would like to discuss with you is the learning curve. If you compare Bubble with Flutterflow, and if there is a guy who wants to build an application himself, what is going to be the learning curve for him in case of Bubble, and what is going to be the learning curve for Flutterflow? What can be the time frame for someone who has a tech experience and someone who does not have a tech experience?
okay. So basically I think if you are thinking about building an application that will be used by thousands of users, so I believe you should have like quite a good experience in both platform. In case of Bubble, if somehow which is a graduate of some engineering university, it has an engineering, yeah, computer science background, so still it will take like 1 to 2 months to just trained onto the Bubble platform, because it has been like it has now a lot of capabilities, and even I think it's better to be certified in that one, so you know what features you should use, and what is the best approach to implement any feature. So in both case, I think learning curve is now required. But I believe, like in case of Flutterflow, because mostly the Android and iOS applications are built, so that knowledge is also required how you are publishing the application. But still, Flutterflow has more learning curve as compared to the Bubble. If you want to build an same application in both platform, it will take around into the Bubble, it will take around, if it takes right 1 month, the same application will be taking like 10 more days, because you in case of Bubble, once you make some change, it automatically reflects there. But in case of Flutterflow, you have to make a run, and then it will be generating an APK, and you can test that one. So it means like it will be taking more time in the development, and you should have more knowledge, coding knowledge as well, because you have to write some custom functions, you have to build some custom widgets to do some stuff, because the community widgets are not so much at this time, and you have to build some on your side as well. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, it looks like, if there is someone who has a tech background, so they can learn the Bubble platform in like 1 month of time period, and they can start building it. And if there is like they have to do that into Flutterflow, I believe that there are more concepts of app development into Flutterflow, so it can take more time than this time period. And what I'm assuming is that you are going to be, if you are not having a tech background, then you can do a lot of architectural mistakes, which can be a problem in future. So you need to have some concepts of database design, some concepts of integrations. So if you want to build an advanced application, you will have to spend like, I think that at least 60 days need to be spent on both of these platforms for building an application completely into Bubble or Flutterflow. Otherwise, the problem is going to be that when you have spent like 10 to 15 days building an application, you will realize that you have hit some problem which you cannot fix yourself. So you will have to hire some agency to come to help you and fix that. So this is what happening. Like many clients that we get, they have started building their application themselves into Bubble or into Flutter, mostly into Flutterflow. So they come to us and they say that they have tried to build this application, they want to add this feature, but they cannot do it themselves. Either they don't have time for that, or they don't have skill set for that. So they come to us and we build that feature into the application. So that is one thing that we need to keep in mind. So now, Bosin, I just want to wrap up this whole discussion. You can give us some points, some situations where you should be using Bubble, and some situations where we should be using Flutterflow.
Okay. Okay. So let's start. Basically, I think like we have discussed all of the points in very detail. So now we need to conclude them. So I will be giving you simple examples. So if let's suppose if you want to build a web application like the which you want to launch onto the web platform, and you do not want to have uh, like the mobile application at all, even you do not want to have responsive application. Okay, so in that case, the most recommended option will be like definitely the Bubble one, because you can easily build your application, and it supports the web platform as well. And in case of Flutterflow, if you are building some SaaS platform which should have very good like web platform which should have very good experience, like loading experience. So in case of Bubble, that is good, but in case of Flutterflow, the initial loading time is a little bit higher. So we have talked with the Flutterflow team as well for that one. You can add some loader for now, but it will still take like 6 to 7 seconds to load the whole DOM, and then it will be showing you pages. But once it is loaded, then its experience is very good. So one thing is that if you want to build web application which will be used by external users. So I believe like Bubble will be a good platform to go with that one. And in case of if you want to build only Android and iOS application, then I think the highly recommended option will be the Flutterflow, because it will be giving you pure native experience. Now there is a third scenario where you want to have web application as well as you want to have the native Android and iOS application. So in that case, the point is that if you want to have like an application where you want to have just an admin panel into the web, and you want to have more users onto the Android and iOS, then in that case I will again recommend the Flutterflow. But if you think, okay, our main application is Bubble, like the web one, and we just need to have like simple application onto the mobile so users can open that one, or it should be the responsive, then Bubble will be good too.
So it is the approach that you want to use. Like if you know, if it is like mobile first app, like the mobile is the more important platform for you, then go for Flutterflow. And if it is the web, because you have a lot of animations, a lot of stuff in that, then my recommendation will also be to use Bubble. And yes, there are some people who are very much concerned. Who some people who will take security very seriously, and also they are like compliance that they have to follow, and they want to store the patient's information, or they want to store the card holders information. Then it's better to build it into Flutterflow. In both of the cases, I will recommend to use Flutterflow. And if you want to build a web application, there are a lot of plugins available, there are a lot of templates available, there is a huge community available. Go for Bubble. It's a great platform. With time, hopefully this year, they are going to launch the native application development platform too. So in that case, it's going to be what you can say, it's going to be a right choice for building the
Yeah, I think I
mobile.
would like to add one more point here. Like if you want to build some internal tool, which does not have to do more with the UI UX, like internal tool, a web internal tool. So in that case, I think the Flutterflow will be good because the pricing will be very reasonable in that case, and you do not have to pay more. So I think in that case, for some internal application, like for your employees management, then you can build your web application onto the Flutterflow as well.
Yeah, we have observed that into our case too, like in case of PMS, when
Yeah,
once we started building it into Bubble,
yeah,
and this is going to be the application which is going to be daily used into your
yeah,
company.
yeah,
So because it's
exactly.
going to be extensively used for everything. So recommended option is going to be that, is it's going to be to build it into Flutterflow, because your cost is not going to be that much high. So for internal applications and mobile first applications, it's going to be the Flutter. But for the web applications and for building an MVP quickly, where you don't have to deploy it on Play Store or App Store, then Bubble is good. But yes, you can deploy them on Play Store and App Store. There is a little cost that you have to bear. That is the cost of the BDK plugin, and that's going to be there, and you can use it. So that's the conclusion. I think it was a great talk, Mohsin. Thanks for your time. So we will
Yeah,
create
thank
such
you.
for the community, for the clients who want to build their applications and they want to utilize no code platforms. In upcoming videos, we will also talk about what is going to be the either you should be using a coding platform or a no code platform for building your application. So we will cover that topic too. What are the disadvantages or advantages of using one over the other? So thank you very much, Mohsin. Hopefully, we covered a lot of things. Uh, Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.